Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Always
Thanks
good
for
to
willing to do
Zoom.
this.
Yeah, of course. It's lovely to hear from you. Very cool.
Yeah. So I could just jump around before getting to Fire Emblem.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was acting always what you wanted to primarily pursue?
Yeah, since um I say since about middle school, it was what I wanted to do. I did some Shakespeare in eighth grade and had a great time. And I went to the LA County High School for the Arts for high school and was in the theater program there. Um, yeah, and then I studied acting in college and started pursuing it once I graduated from college. Uh, yeah, it's it's interesting, right, talking about it now because I know you found me through my therapist website, right? And like
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm pursuing full time, mostly full time at this point. I'm still doing a little bit of voiceover work, and I think that theater will continue to be a part of my life also. But yeah, for the bulk of my young life and all through my 20s and into my 30s, acting was the thing. It was the thing. Yeah.
What inspired the shift?
It was kind of a, a bunch of things at once. I started what I've discovered at this point after going back to school for it is that like it's not an uncommon answer when asked that question for people to say like my own mental health journey, right? So like that was definitely a piece of it. The research that I was doing around my own kind of experience with anxiety, with trauma, kind of opened my eyes up to that field. And then I just got really fascinated, really into it. But it was that, it was also, I went back to school during the pandemic. I feel like so many people were having kind of those pivot moments of like uh, shifting careers and taking a look at what they were doing with their time in their lives and deciding to go in a different direction. So it was all of that kind of happening at once. Yeah.
So going back to the timeline of things, do you have a special story of how you got into SAG?
How I got into SAG. I, you know what? I mean, I feel like I don't in that I, in, I graduated from school in 2011. That's when I got out of college. And at that point, at that point, with the way things worked with SAG and AFTRA, if you joined, I hope I'm getting this right in my memory. Uh, if you joined AFTRA, I think it was right, maybe it was right before the merger. I could have the timeline totally wrong. What I'm getting at is I feel kind of like I cheated because I like bought into AFTRA and then they merged and then I was just kind of in, right? So I don't have like a fun, exciting story of like the role that I did that brought me in. Um, I just kind of wanted to go full force for the union right out of school. Um, yeah.
Was there something that happened to you that made you get more affinity for voiceover opposed to live action, or
That's a good question. I feel like my interest with the art form, right, with acting in general has always been fairly what's the word I would use? I've been interested in all of it, you know? And it's just had to do with where the opportunities have been. Yeah, with voiceover, it was a matter of I don't know if you know this, you may know this. My dad is a voiceover actor.
yeah,
And so there were connections, there were people that I knew just from growing up who were in that part of the field. Um, and so, yeah, so I feel lucky, right, in that I had the opportunity to kind of meet and work with like Chris Salter as a director, like people like that, where um, some of those doors were already open. I'm trying to, I feel like I'm circling around the term Nepo baby, right? Like I'm like circling around, but like it's true, right? My dad was in this industry. And so there were people that I knew and opportunities that presented themselves that I think a lot of other people wouldn't have had access to. And yeah, but I've loved it. I've really loved the opportunities and the projects that I've gotten to work on. Um, there are yeah, I feel like I don't have a particularly satisfying answer, but it's like there's a specific set of skills, obviously, that you're kind of calling on with voiceover work specifically. And when you feel like you really kind of lock into those skills and in a session, it's just so fun. It's so fun and very satisfying, Yeah,
So did you, I think you would have gotten your role in the Nier Automata game before Fire Emblem.
that's interesting. I don't know that I would have.
Okay.
I don't know that I would have. Yeah. I mean, I think there's something just on a personal level of kind of having any kind of growing body of work and just experience with voiceover that I think helped me to feel a bit more equipped to then move into to other projects, um, from a personal level. Yeah.
Was there any special story then of when Fire Emblem first came up with you?
In terms of working on Fire Emblem, uh I just remember it being a blast. That's the main thing I remember. And I remember um with our director, Chris, uh for that first game that I did.
Fates, yeah.
Yeah, like just feeling like she was a master class in talking to actors in directing, which like I mean I already knew that just because she's been doing it for so long and is like so well um so experienced and so well regarded. But getting to work with her and the way that she kind of pulled the performance out, and I just felt like she was so good. That was a definite highlight for me as kind of revisit the memory of working on that first one. Um, but I also feel like in terms of the game coming out, I was like kind of kind of unaware. I'm not as much in the like gaming community as maybe some other voiceover actors are. So I was kind of unaware and excited to find out that people had played it at all. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. Yeah.
How did you approach? I'm not sure it was a direction thing, but the different aspect between Felicia and Setsuna in that first game.
Yeah, it was a direction thing. It definitely was a direction thing. And it was just the encouragement to kind of uh swing for the fences, I think, with both of those characterizations to just like really go for it. Um and yeah, I I do remember going online at some point and and reading about reading some responses to Felicia, to the character Felicia, and some people who really liked the characterization, others who really did not. But I feel like that character, in terms of my own my own kind of experience with feeling uh anxious or stressed or kind of scattered, it's a character that feels close to my heart and close. I wouldn't say exactly myself, but like there's a fair amount I feel like of me that was put into that character. Yeah,
Yeah. It does sound like for Felicia that it's pretty much just like a heightened version of your natural voice.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
How did you feel about because most recently she had that really pretty ice themed skin that just came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there was
I
any,
I I keep going.
oh, just like if there was like anything that stood out from going in to do that in particular, or
That's a great question, and I'm having a hard time kind of calling up the session. I mean, I remember I think all of the artwork is really um stunning, or the different skins really stunning. Yeah, yeah. Um I think I'd have to be reminded of that one in particular, you know.
well, is there at least maybe it was a more so back then, but was there like a default line that you have to get into Felicia's headspace?
Oh man. Oh man, that's such a good question. I mean, there must have been. There must have been. I'm not recalling what it was at this point, but there's something like as you're asking that question, what's coming to mind is like the like I can feel it in my body. I feel it in my body, kind of the just that frantic kind of that whatever that is, that energy. Um, and I couldn't put it on a line for you right now, but like it's there's something about getting into kind of the headspace of like, oh, I'm trying so hard to do a good job, so hard to do a good job, and it is just too much, you know.
Hmm.
Um, which feels like a space that I yeah, can tap into with relative ease, you know, whether the lines are there or the voice is really there, that kind of spirit of Felicia feels familiar. Yeah.
Do you remember much about her interactions with other characters?
Hmm. I don't. I don't. I would love to hear what comes up for you.
Well, I mean, since she's the maid for the main character, Corin,
Yeah.
there's that's a lot of affinity with their relationship.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's faint. It's vague in my memory. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when Katria came up next, was that just given to you?
Yes, I think it was the studio that has recorded all of the Fire Emblem games. Um, yeah, reached out. Am I remembering that right? I think that's what it was. I don't remember there being an audition process for it. I remember it just kind of being like, hey, we're doing another one and here's this other character and um we think you could, bring something to this one too. Yeah. Yeah. And she's been fun to work on. She's been really fun to work on.
Well, considering you've probably gotten to do the most with Katria, do you have the most affinity with her?
Yeah, yeah. I think the kind of you're gonna have to remind me which game this was. There was one where the skin was like it was a lot of like spring themed skins or costuming. Like she was dressed as kind of a bunny rabbit in
Yeah,
my
Heroes.
okay, yes. And yeah, the kind of I don't know if fish out of water is the right term, but the kind of like mhm, um there was something in that that I definitely felt an affinity for, or kind of a connection to, of like I'm dressed in a way that doesn't really make sense to me, and um we're doing our best and we are making it work, but like not that stoked to be dressed like a cute bunny rabbit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know that the first time that you would have gotten to play her was in the actual console game Echoes
Mm,
back a while ago.
yeah.
Is there anything that so because you mentioned directors, is there anything that stands out about being directed by like Patrick Seitz or Wendy Lee or people like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're all wonderful. I would say with Patrick, there's a I've really loved working with him, and it's yeah, there's a sense of um there's like a real sense of comfort I have every time I go in and he's there. Um I think he's a wonderful director, and and part of that is uh really feeling affirmed by him and his energy. And even if you're not quite hitting what it is that he's looking for, that somebody else in the room is kind of looking for, um, he's right there with you finding it. He's very encouraging and yeah, and just like down to earth, fun, ready to laugh. I think maybe that's what it is. It feels really nice to make the director laugh, right? Like to have a take of something, to have to deliver some dialogue in a way that tickles or delights the director. And I feel like Patrick is pretty uh um it's like a generous kind of uh director, and it makes you feel really at home and comfortable and excited to like keep trying new stuff, you know? Yeah. He's a real pleasure to work with also.
Do you think that you relate to Katria more than Felicia?
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny as you're asking that. The I like you said, right? I've spent a lot more time with Katria. Felicia, you know, I voiced that character less, and it was so many years ago initially. And I do still feel, I think, a bit more of a kinship with Felicia, maybe. You know, I'm not that kind of scattered and all over the place, or falling over things or dropping things, you know, like it's not uh but I do on some kind of deep inner level relate pretty deeply to that kind of experience. But Katria is always great fun to go in and record. Yeah.
Or people in the fandom that think that you really nail because the way that Katria has her two sisters, Est and Paula, and
Yeah.
they think that you really like nailed the whole like caught in the middle sister vibe.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
there was actually just it just came out um today the fairy skin that Katria just got.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, cool. Just today. Oh, that's
Yep.
wild. Yeah. Yeah.
So it must have been like several months ago that you would have recorded that, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to talk to you about it and get a sense of kind of w where some of these characters live in like in the fandom and in the world, because like I said, I'm not much of a gamer myself. I'm married to a gamer. My dad is obviously like my dad is Paul-Eiding, I'll just say his name, is in the, is like is in the world. He's not a gamer himself, but has more of a kind of in-depth understanding, awareness of of fandom in this kind of community. Um, and so anyways, it's just cool to talk to you about like what it yeah, these
Yeah.
games and these characters and how people feel about them and what's going on because I have less of an understanding than I think probably I would imagine many of the voiceover actors that you've interviewed and spoken with. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you have any friends that are like big into Fire Emblem?
Any
Friends?
any friends? Not that I've really um not that I've spoken to about it. I did see that you uh interviewed Damien Haas.
Yeah.
And we aren't super close, but we went to college together. So it was really
Okay.
cool to see him pop up on as I was going through the interviews on your channel to see that Damien's there. And we've talked a little bit about voiceover and games, but uh yeah, not a whole lot about Fire Emblem.
Are you not very much of an person either then?
Not much of a
Anime person?
I'm not, but I feel like I have a growing kind of awareness, understanding of it because of my husband, because of some friends. Um, and yeah, I just am, it's not, I mean, I grew up watching Sailor Moon, which I
Right.
believe counts as anime, right? Like, that feels like kind of, I don't, I, that feels like basic kind of, a basic kind of ground level understanding. I actually am I don't know if we're segueing into near automata, but like that's I'm wanting to watch the I haven't yet watched the um
The
season,
anime.
the series, and that's something that I would like to
Yep.
watch. And I did watch a friend play through some of the game, and it was just like it was so cool. It was so cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna, because I think the fandom for Fire Emblem's, I don't know if it's their single favorite character of yours, but Marissa has a lot
Mm.
of big following too.
Oh, cool. This is cool to learn. This is cool to learn. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there is there much that stands out about recording her?
Hmm. Will you remind me?
Yeah,
Uh, I'm more familiar with Katria, Setsuna, Felicia. Will you remind I know I recorded Marissa, but it was years ago now.
yeah. So Marissa has pink hair and a ponytail. She's a mercenary that's like very, very deadpan and like doesn't really care about anything, and
Yes. Yes.
a lot of like really funny, like really super dry lines.
Totally, totally. Was I confusing Katria and Marissa earlier with the rabbit skin, or was I
No,
talking about
they
Katria?
actually both have one of those.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay. Okay. Phew. Um, yes, yes, it's coming back. Yeah, mercenary and really dry. Uh, yes, I just remember that being fun. I remember recording her being really fun. And yeah, I mean that's the thing about or one of the things I think that's so fun about voiceover work is getting to kind of play around with so many different types of characters and voices and deliveries. And I think I, as an actor, right, have tended to be cast more in roles that are in the maybe not as extreme as Felicia, but like in that kind of direction in terms of like earnest and kind of anxious and maybe a little frantic. And getting to lean harder into that kind of like dry, like deadpan kind of delivery is really fun. And I think not always I spent much less time as an actor in that kind of zone, I think, than in the other direction. So I do remember that being fun to get to explore and get to just like lean in a direction that isn't really as doesn't come as naturally to me, I think. Yeah.
Has there been a case with voiceover where you've had to get to like a really emotionally involved dark headspace, or no?
Hmm. I was in the booth yesterday, recording something that I don't think I'm supposed to talk about as of yet. But yeah, it was more of that. It was intense and it was dark and I wasn't, that's the other funny thing about voiceover is like I'm in the booth at 9 a.m. on a Monday or whatever yesterday, like in an emotional state and like screaming and stuff. Right? And it's Monday morning. It's Monday morning and this is how I'm starting my day, and so um when I think about acting and different roles I've worked on where there was kind of a darker, um, more intense kind of place to explore and inhabit. I think about, I guess I think more about like the theater roles I've worked on because those are extended rehearsal periods and you have a long time to kind of be in that space with voiceover, like with in my experience with voiceover, like yesterday, I didn't go in knowing that that was the place we were going to be in. Um, so it's shorter lived in terms of the time that I'm spending in that dark, sad, painful space. Uh, but it is just kind of trippy to be like, it's Monday morning at 9 a.m. and like I have a full day, I have a full day of work after this to go, but like here we are, we're screaming, like yeah, it was it's a funny job. It's just a funny job. Yeah.
Has there been a case too where you've had to significantly alter your voice for a role, or do you mostly use your natural voice?
Yeah, I've done I feel like it generally lives somewhere around my natural voice. I've done a number of audiobooks and those uh have often required like accent work. So I've done a fair amount of Scottish, Irish, British accents for those books. Yeah, but I don't tend to kind of feel like one of those actors who's really got a wide, wide range. Some folks are just like extraordinary um with their voice, with the range that they have access to. I feel like the bulk of the characters that I've done, like across mediums, have usually lived somewhere close to my own or like a slightly elevated or slightly younger version of my own voice. Yeah. I have such massive respect for those actors who are just like who you can't recognize or you almost can't recognize. It's so amazing.
You gotten to do kids' voices at all?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You asked that, and I'm like, yeah, of course. But then I'm like, wait, but but when? Um, I mean, definitely have auditioned for kid, look, with kid voices and have worked in classes, I think, on younger voices, kids' voices. I've done I haven't in some years now, but I belonged to a theater company throughout most of my 20s, um, called Four Clowns, and we did like theatrical clowning. And that was I wouldn't say that I was necessarily specifically playing children as I was working with them, but I found myself often in a childish, higher pitched kind of space in my voice. Uh, and clowning is so fun and amazing and scary and all of the things, the full range of the things. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I always like asking voice actresses if they have a process for whenever they do boy voices.
For boy voices. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's that's a great question. I'm trying to think of like auditions that I've had or in audiobooks and kind of voicing the different characters. It's yeah, it's like striking the balance between kind of um I can feel myself feeling shy about like doing it out loud, right? Like but it's I think it's striking the balance often in my understanding between um keeping it at a higher pitch if we're talking about like a kid, a boy, but also putting a little bit of maybe a little bit of like gravel, a little bit of texture in there so that it doesn't sound like um just a straight little girl's voice. Little yeah, that's where I'm going with it. I don't know that I have necessarily a specific strategy. I haven't played um or worked a lot doing voicing little boys or boys. But I have mad respect for all of those like fully adult female actors who just like embody it like nothing else. It's really cool.
Well, have you heard any of your performance in the mobile game for like any of the skins of anybody?
No, I really no. I went back and listened to uh a few years ago. I went back and listened to Felicia and Setsuna. Um, but I don't think I've really spent any time listening to Katria or Marissa or anybody in recent years. Yeah. What would you say about those characters? What would you I'm so curious. Like I said, I feel like I'm outside of so much of it.
Well, I mean, um, I think I did say this already, but uh, it was cool with Marissa just to hear. Um, I mean, I know that Katria is obviously like mostly your natural voice too, but like Marissa was
Yeah.
just a very, um, I just like I, I personally really love dry humor, so just hearing that be all the lines from Marissa was really funny.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Have you seen any of the like fan reaction to your performances either? Or
Like people posting I've seen discussion. I've seen discussion. I feel like it must have been on YouTube some years ago to Felicia, but not really in recent years. What's would you point me towards anything? Is there anything worth kind of checking out or watching or engaging
yeah,
with?
I mean it's all very positive. It's just
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that um, haven't like their entire team in the game are like just the characters that you voice.
That is wild. That is wild. That's so cool to hear. Oh my God. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Or
Interesting.
there's a lot of people too that just say that they, like a big reason why they have Felicia or Katria or Marissa is because of your performance.
Hmm. Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything that you want to say to the Fire Emblem community?
Hmm. I mean, I yeah, I'm like sitting here feeling genuinely like touched and not necessarily, well, you go in, you record, you have fun, you try things out, you get to work with great directors, and then it's gone and it's kind of away and yeah, so I'm just I guess I don't want to say I'm speechless. Like it's really lovely. It's just like really lovely to hear that folks are responding to the stuff that you uh feel lucky enough to like get to be a part of and get to like put out into the world. And it's really moving and uh yeah, just like touching to hear that folks respond to it positively. And I've had so much fun working on these games over the years, and and I really appreciate people playing and uh enjoying it and um obviously the games wouldn't exist without the fans and the folks that are playing and into it. And so that's a big thank you from me to everybody who's playing.
Mhm.
Yeah. And to you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty dedicated.
Yes.
A lot of character
Oh my
art on
God. Oh, that's awesome.
my body. Yeah, and they're all Fire Emblem pretty much. So,
Yes. Yes. That's really cool.
well, my final question is always asking you, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy. Hmm. Yeah. I want it to be, this feels, it feels maybe cliche, but it also feels very accurate. Like, wanting to have like, done what little I can in my little like corner of the of the world to have a positive impact to help folks. And I mean, this was kind of this has been an underlying what's the word I want to use? Like an underlying kind of theme or value, I guess, for me as an actor, and also then moving into, you know, the therapy world, um, is to uh, help folks feel less alone, to um yeah, to be of support and service and uh to use whatever skills I might have um to yeah, make just even a little bit of a difference in the world and in other people's lives. I think that's what I hope my legacy will be. Yeah,
Well, thank you. I'm glad that we
it's a
got to
great
do this.
question. I'm gonna
Oh, thanks.
sit with that and think about it the rest of the day. Yeah, me too. Me too. It's really cool talking to you. Yeah, I'm so glad you reached out.
Yeah, I was about to send you it's a YouTube link of the lines that you did for Marissa if you'd want to
Oh, I
like
love that. I love
okay.
that. Revisit. Yeah. There she is. There we go. There we go. Yes, if this outfit isn't good for fighting, I'll have to hop away. Oh, yes. Delightful. Delightful. There it is. Oh my God. Ooh. Ooh. Yes. Love it.
Does any like memory come back related to that now, or
Yeah, it is. It's the and then I wonder if this is what I was talking about. Like I know you said Katria and Marissa both are dressed as rabbits, but this particular kind of like discomfort of like I'm a mercenary, right? I'm a mercenary. I have a job to do. I have a function to serve, and like here is just in the thing. It's yeah, that's bringing it back. That's bringing it back. Ooh, that's funny. It's really funny.
yeah, I just figured that'd be a good thing to share. So,
Thank you for jogging my memory. Yes. Oh my God. Ooh,
well, I hope you have a good rest of your day then.
thank you. You too. It's really nice
Okay.
talking to you, Chris. Thanks for this.